Hello everyone and welcome to another video on your favorite channel Woo English. Today we need to go through and analyze one of our latest stories. The story in this video covered a kind of impossible mission that is taking place in India this year, and the story is about the census that is happening or going to happen in India. And you might be wondering now, what is a census? A census is simply a fancy word or a fancy word or the technical word for when a government is trying to count its people. And here, when we say census, counting people in India, you might guess what the problem is and why I called it in the beginning an impossible mission. It's because India has 1.4 billion people, not million, billion people. That's 1,400 million person. That's a very, very large number that you cannot even imagine. And we shared a fun fact from this video is the fact that if you try to count the people in India and you don't take any breaks, you don't sleep, you don't stop to eat or drink or go even to the bathroom, you will take 44 or it will take you 44 years to finish all the people or count every single person that lives on India. So you can see how huge this mission is and how impossible it is. But Indians, they are trying to make the impossible possible. And through that video, we followed how this journey was achieved or planned to be achieved. So today, we will not go through the entirety of the video, but we are going to try and analyze it, summarize it, and use it to learn some grammar, some vocabulary, some pronunciation, and then indulge, have a discussion with each other to be able to use our English to discuss an actual topic. Before we go and dive deep into the story of the census that is taking place in India, I would love, of course, to remind you that this is Woo English, the channel that teaches you English the right way through our scientifically proven method, the immersion method. And through our stories, we teach you English without you even noticing, without all the traditional methods of taking notes or of a teacher standing there teaching you vocabulary out of context. We don't do that. We teach you English through a context that is actually taken from real life topics varied from science to technology to politics to society and so on and so forth. Don't forget, of course, to subscribe if this is the first time you are watching this channel. And if you are one of our 350,000 subscribers, make sure to click the like button as an encouragement. If you are not sure yet, stay there, wait until you go through the video, and then you decide if this video deserves a like. And if you think it is, please make sure to make the likes or achieve or reach 2,000 likes. That's our goal for this video. So without further ado, let's go and see how is India trying to achieve this almost impossible mission. So the first section we are going to go through is a summary. Of course, you can always go to the original video, watch it. You don't even need to watch it. You can just listen to it while you are driving to work, doing your chores, exercising, jogging outside on a beautiful day. I'm going now to read you a summary. You can always go and watch the whole thing. India, home to 1.4 billion people, is attempting one of the most ambitious counting exercises in human history, a national census. But here is the catch. The last census was conducted back in 2011. The last one in 2011 and now in 2026, that's almost 15 years between the two censuses, so a lot changed. That's over 16 years ago. In those 16 years, 200 million people were born, more than the entire population of Brazil. Millions moved from villages to cities and countless lives changed completely. Yet, the government decisions about food programs, hospitals, schools, unfortunately, are still based on those outdated 2011 numbers. So you see where the problem is. You are dealing with a population that grew by 200 million people based on data that was collected 16 years ago. So this is a very, very big problem. Now, 3 million workers. So the people who are counting not one, not two, not 10, not 1,000, 3 million workers, most of them school teachers, are walking through 640,000 villages and 7,000 towns. Each worker carries a phone, knocks on the doors, and asks 33 questions. Their job is to count every single person in India within 6 months. Not 44 years like the math we did in the beginning, only 6 months. The story also explores what happens to real people when a country stops counting them or even skips them by error. Children born after 2011 who don't exist on paper. Workers who move to a new city but are still registered in their old village. Families who can't access food support because the list is out of date. These people are not hiding, they are simply invisible to the system. Now, we are going to go through some of the interesting words related to the topic. I'm going to share with you the word, a definition, and an example of how it is used in an actual sentence. So let's go to the first word, census, the main word of the video, the key word actually. A census is an official count of the people living in a country, usually done by the government every few years. In the case of India, 16 years. Example of use: the government announced that the next census will be held in 2031. So the verb that we use with census is hold. Held here is in the passive voice. Enumerator. Enumerator is a person who goes door to door to collect information for a census. They ask questions and they record the answer. This is to collect data about another word that we are going to see later, demographic. Example of the use of enumerator is the enumerator knocked on the door and spent 20 minutes asking about our family. Outdated, something that was correct or useful in the past but is no longer accurate or relevant today. For example, his phone was so outdated it couldn't run any new apps. Or we can also say, for example, your style, your clothing or dressing style is very outdated. That belongs to the 70s. Demographic, what is a demographic? A demographic is the information about a group of people, such as their age, their or where they live, and how many children they have. So it's the information about a population of people. So it's the information about a population. It describes the shape of the population. So if we go, for example, to Europe, we'll notice that the demographic of Europe is dominated by older people than younger people, while I think it's the opposite in some other countries. Invisible. Invisible is something that we cannot see with our eyes. And in the story, it doesn't mean physically invisible, it means invisible on paper. These are the people that were not counted in the last census, or they appeared or were born or changed their situation between the last census and the current census. So here in the story, people are not physically invisible, but they are invisible to the system because no official record includes them. They are not on paper. New immigrants are sometimes invisible to local health services because they aren't registered. Now for the pronunciation point. And the pronunciation point that I chose for you today is word stress. And we are going to focus on the word stress of some words that end in ator, right? Like enumerator, alligator, calculator, and so on. So the rule says when a word has the word ter or ater in the end, you count two syllables to the left and you stress that syllable. When we say a syllable is stressed in English, we don't mean he is working, he has a job, and he is stressed because of daily life, but we mean that that syllable, that part of the word, is louder and takes more time than the other words. I'm going to give you an example. If we take the word information, information, the syllables in this word don't have the same value, but actually, mation is may is louder than the other. So you will hear information, right? Not information. Information. I've heard some new information today, right? Same for the word happy. Happy is not the same, it's not happy, it's happy. Happy. So ha is louder than p. So it's stressed while p is not stressed. There are some rules sometimes when it comes to word pronunciation and word stress, and this is exactly what we will do today. Whenever you find a word ending in ater or ter, that means that ter, and then you count two syllables before that, that's exactly where you put your stress. So let's see. So if we have enumerator, you say enumerator. Administrator, so administrator. Calculator and navigator. So this is how we pronounce these four words that are related to today's topic. Now I would love to move with you to a grammar point. The grammar point that I have today is a very complex lesson in English grammar that a lot of people find a lot of issues with. Of course, I don't want to go in depth into this topic and lesson, but I'm just going to very quickly give you some some tips about how to use it. It's the passive voice. The passive voice can take a whole hour or a long time to explain, but I'm just going to give you some ideas about it. In English, a sentence has always a subject, a verb, and an object. So the subject does the action, the verb is the action, and the object receives the action. Example, the dog chased the cat. The dog chased the cat. Sometimes you will hear people starting with the object and neglecting almost the subject because they want to focus that an action happened to the object. For example, the dog chased the cat will become the cat was chased. I'm going to give you another example, and this mostly appears on media, on newspapers. A large or some money, or let's say a bank was robbed yesterday. A bank was robbed yesterday. Here they say this because they want to focus on the fact that the bank was stolen or was robbed. Here they say this because they want to focus on the fact that the bank was robbed instead of who did it, because we all know who robs banks. It's thieves. So the original sentence is thieves robbed the bank. But of course, we know it's thieves robbed the bank. So we want to focus on the fact that a bank was robbed. And that's why we mostly use the passive voice. So here is the example here. The government postponed the census. The government is the subject, postponed is the verb, and the census is the object. So we can say the census was postponed, of course, by the government, but sometimes we don't want to mention or we don't know who did the action. So that's where we use the passive voice. Of course, here are some examples. 3 million workers were sent to count the population. Who sent them? Of course, the government. We don't want to say that. The data is collected on a mobile phone. Who collects the data on the mobile phone? The enumerator. But we don't want to we don't want to say that. We would just want to focus on the data. Millions of people have been born since 2011. Who gave birth to these people is their mothers, but that's very, very evident. The census has been delayed for years. Of course, here is a little example and exercise. You can do that in the chat. Change these sentences for me into the passive voice. The teacher recorded all the answers. The government built many new hospitals. Someone counted 1.4 billion people. So, can you in the chat transform these sentences for me? And last but not least, we would love to go through a discussion where I would love to hear you speak. And where am I going to do that? Of course, I'm not going to hear you orally, but I'm going to see your answers and your opinions in the comment section under this video. The census shows that some people are invisible to the system. Some people just don't get counted by these census. Not because they are hiding, but because nobody counted them. So the question here is, think about your country and tell me, who do you think are some people, some categories of people that you think might be missed in the next census in your country? Who are the people who mostly don't get counted? And how is that a problem? So this is the question I would love to end with, and this is where we finish this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you reach this place, you are an amazing follower, an amazing English learner. We would love for you to show yourself in the comment section. Share anything. Maybe the discussion, your answer to the discussion of today. Maybe the answer to the grammar exercise that I gave you, or maybe just a kind word or some criticism, anything you want to share, do that in the comment section. That's also a practice of your English. Don't forget, of course, to like this video. This is the end. So you tell us if the video was nice by clicking that like button, and so that this video shows up to other people who are really in need of improving their English the right way. Don't forget to join our amazing community of eager English learners on Telegram and WhatsApp. You can do that through the links under this video. And finally, if you like our videos, go watch them. But if you want to have them in PDF format, you can definitely do that on our website, WooEnglish.com, an amazing website. You can download our videos or our scripts of the videos or our stories in PDF format. They are yours. Do as you want with them. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video and the analysis of another amazing story on Woo.